Hello friends, I'm Kayla. I am celebrating my 10 years on BookTube every single month this year by doing some type of reflection. This month, it's a tag. Tags made up such a significant part of my channel. I was doing them every single Tuesday right when I started. In fact, if you look at probably the first 5 or 6 videos I ever posted to the channel, half or more than half of them would have been tags. I was just joining BookTube because I had made a BookTube tag or a bookish tag on my other channel, and someone was like, you should join BookTube. And as soon as I joined BookTube, I found a million tags, and that's all I wanted to do. So I think after my introduction video, the very first thing I ever posted was my reading habits, which was a book tag. So we're gonna watch it back together. I'm gonna re-answer the questions and probably cringe at this girl. After that, depending on how interesting or boring it is, I'm gonna go on to another tag. There's a couple other ones that I saw that I jotted down the names of. There's one called the TMI tag BookTube edition. There's one called the Would You Rather tag, and the A to Z book tag. So I'm gonna film for like half an hour, just put this up, and then I'm gonna film reactions to the other ones too and put that up as a members only bonus video. So let's just see what happens with this one. Okay, first let's talk about the cute owl vase in the background and my thumbs up and my old desk. What else? My hair isn't like that bad compared to other videos that I know I made 10 years ago. I'm wearing a white shirt again, though I can guarantee I never wore this out of the house. Back in 2014, I was like exclusively wearing black if I left the house. And I feel like I never wore black on camera just because I didn't like how it looked. So I was going to like thrift stores the same way that I was buying books that I didn't need just to like fill out my rainbow shelves 10 years ago. I was buying shirts like at the thrift store for a couple dollars. They were brightly fun, not this one specifically, but this one there was like a texture at the top of it and I really liked it. I was like, this would look good sitting in front of a camera. So this was exclusively a shirt that I bought to wear on camera in front of 3,000 people. I was like, I have to have a wardrobe. Nowadays, the clothes that I wear on camera are the ones I actually wear in real life. Do you have a certain place at home for reading? Yeah. Okay, well, I live in the same place that I lived in the same place I do now. So I'm sure my answers are the couch or my bed because those are the only 2 places I really have to read. I don't really spend much time at all reading my bed actually anymore. So mostly on the couch. I actually read a good amount sitting in my computer chair. I think it's just like really comfortable now. And I do tend to listen to audiobooks while I'm like doing something on the computer or I'm doing reading sprints with my members or something. I have like a pretty small house, so I really only have like a couple different places, but my couch is like right in front of the window, so that's really nice. I also have this like curvy lamp thing that I can like move wherever I want, and so I'll move that over there when it's like nighttime and I can read still in front of the window, and I'll read in bed. I don't read in bed as often as out here on the couch, but yeah, those are pretty much my only places. Oh, Number 2, bookmark or random piece of paper. Oh my god, okay, whatever. I don't use a bookmark very often. Honestly, if you see me holding up a book with a bookmark in it, I probably just put it in there for you. So you don't yell at me about dog-earing my books. And so I can like show visually better where I'm at in a book. I just really don't use bookmarks, but I also don't use too many random things. Sometimes I will like throw a receipt in there or like a flosser or something. I've used some really stupid things as bookmarks and you've seen them in videos. So like occasionally I'll slip something in a book, but usually I'm just putting it like face down somewhere and that's what's holding my spot. Yes, me and my mom have a bookmark business. No, I don't use the bookmarks very often. Did I use it then? Bookmark. I need to get more bookmarks. Sometimes I just like dog ear the page. It's not that terrible. So terrible. Oh, that's Number 3. Okay. No wonder this tag is over in 6 minutes. Can you just stop reading or do you have to stop after a chapter or a certain amount of pages? Yeah, I don't care. I think I'm gonna say the same thing then as I do now. That like, obviously I would prefer to stop at a chapter break, but things are always going on around me and I'm always distracted by a million things. And if I'm stopping in the middle, like I'll stop in the middle of a sentence. I don't really care. I pretty much always like wait until I'm done a chapter. I like to finish on a chapter. But if it's a book that I'm not that into, I won't stop until I get to a part in the book where like there's like a hook, like something that makes me want to pick it up. So that could totally be like right at the beginning of a chapter or in the middle of a chapter. But if it's a book that I'm like I'm not really getting into, I wait until like the page happens where something is gonna make me want to pick it up again the next day. Number 4, do you eat or drink while reading? No, never. I can't. Oh, I'm so surprised. I thought I was gonna say yes, because I very much remember, like, back in the day I was eating popcorn a lot while reading. That was like my number 1 go-to snack. Like, I really went through a popcorn phase. I was buying way too much popcorn. Like one of those big bags every couple days. Now, no, I don't really snack while I'm reading. But I thought I did then. I'll have like water beside me, but yeah, no. Oh, well, yeah, drinking. Like, if I'm thirsty while reading, I'm not gonna say no. I can't sip on that water next to me. I have to focus on my reading. Multitasking, music or TV while reading? No, I can't. I think I used to be able to read with music on, but I need like quiet these days. Sometimes I'll put on like, what is it, used to be Galaxy channels, now it's like Stingray music or something. I'll put on like it really, really quietly just so I have like a little bit of ambient noise. Yeah, so I actually have to have ambient noise while I'm physically reading these days, because there's something wrong with my brain, and I always have a song stuck in it. I always have a beat going. I always have lyrics, but like something is always happening in my head, and I can't stand it. So in order to combat that, I will have an instrumental playlist going like all the time. I keep it quiet. There are no real lyrics, but I have to have that going. But I can read with like distractions for sure. I can read with the TV on. I prefer not to. I can read like when people are around. I prefer not to. But yeah, I either have music on or a song in my head, and I prefer the former. One book at a time or several at once? Oh, I'm interested to see my answer for this. I feel like I was a one book at a time kind of person. Nowadays, actually, I am back to being one book at a time, but there were many years where I was reading 3 things at once. Like, I would have an audiobook going, I would have a physical read going. I might even have 2 physical reads going if they were different genres. I'm not trying to read like multiple fantasy things at once, because then I'll muddle like what's what. And also I read so quickly, like I'm reading a book a day. I don't tend to like read one book over multiple days these days, because I just allot my time properly. Obviously, unless it's like a long one over 400 pages. So that does happen occasionally. Yeah, I'm reading one book at a time. How about you? Pretty much one book at a time. Yeah, that I'm regularly reading. I have like 5 books that I have started, but I'm not like reading them all at the same time. I'm not like reading a couple chapters and then reading a chapter of this book. It's like I kind of stalled out and then I started a new book. So I have like 4 books on the go, but I'm not really reading any of them. I think that's normal. Like when people say they're reading more than one book at a time, did they mean the same thing that I mean? Like, is it that you've started 5 books and then you finish one, 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 and then you finish one? Or when you say I'm reading multiple books at a time, like are you reading 2 chapters, and then 3 chapters, and then 4 chapters, and then you go back to this one, it's 2 chapters, and then you're hopping over to this one for 5 chapters? Like, what does that mean to you? Reading at home or everywhere? I only read at home. I only read at home. I mean, sometimes, no, wait, that's not true. I was just thinking about physically reading. If I have an audiobook in, I'm reading everywhere. I'm reading in the car as I'm driving, I'm reading on walks, I'm reading wherever. If I have a physical book, I am really only doing that at home, but that's because I also like work from home. Like I just exist here. I have no reason to be like reading, sitting on a train, on a commute. I'm not like sitting in a cafe reading. I'll occasionally read in the vehicle, like if I'm waiting to pick up Liam or I'm waiting for an appointment or something, but that's very rare. I have a 4-year-old son, so anywhere besides home, like I'm focusing on him. So I can't really read. I don't have time. Fair. Liam was 4 when I made this. Reading out loud or silently in your head? Definitely silently. I'm just picturing myself sitting on the couch and reading out loud. That would be weird. It's not weird. It's not, okay, it's not weird for other people. If you do that, totally fine. It'd be weird for me to picture myself doing that. Sometimes when I'm reading a book and there's like a really good dialogue, I won't say it out loud, but I'll like, oh no, I don't know how to explain it. I'll like mouth the words, like I'll read the part again as if I'm like acting it out. Oh my god, don't say that out loud, Kayla. I've probably like read a couple chapters to my husband if I thought it was really interesting. Actually, I was reading out loud to him Frisky the Snowman. So I guess I do read out loud. And do you read ahead or even skip pages? No. And the amount of people who ask that or assume that is so strange. Like, I can't imagine reviewing a book having not read what happened in the book. Because I also like to talk about things in books like, it bothered me when someone said this specific word, or I like to tell people if a certain thing is present in the book, and if I didn't read all of the words, how would I be able to give that information properly? Saying like, oh, I wish the book had done this. If I was skipping pages, how would I know if the book did it? There's like a couple times, like if I'm reading, give an example, like a really adult book, which I don't read often, but like I remember reading 50 Shades of Grey. Are we talking about sex? Halfway through the book, like reading past all the sex scenes because they would just get so repetitive, and it was like I didn't need to read the sex scene to like be in the story. Sounds like me. I could still like pick right back up where the story was and skipping like 3 or 4 pages. And breaking the spine or keeping it like new. Oh, I hope she says break the spine. I hope this was like me establishing myself as the controversial opinion that like books don't need to stay pristine, especially when I'm buying thrift books. I want my books to have me in them. I want to write in them. I want to break them. Like I want them to look like they are loved. But I might have felt like they were a little more precious when I couldn't get my hands on them as easily as I can now. So maybe 24-year-old me feels a little bit differently. I think I keep them new-ish looking. Like there's ones that are I'm not intentionally breaking spines, but if it happens, disgusting looking, but I don't mind because I like the look of like an old grungy spine broken book. But generally I don't like make a huge mess of books when I read them. Do you write in your books? I don't. I never do. I have a friend who lends me books and she always has like little notes in the back. I do write in my books. Not super often, but if like I know I'm already loving it, and nonfiction, if I own it, I'm highlighting. I'm highlighting to come back to things. I'm highlighting because I prefer that to taking notes or putting tabs in, but I have no issue highlighting, making little notes. But I'm also not like doing it on purpose, thinking like, ooh, what should I write in here? Like, what should I put in the margins in case somebody reads this and wants to know my thoughts? Like, I'm just like blabbering, I guess. Oh, okay. The tag is over. That was it. Okay, I definitely have time for another one. Would you rather or the A to Z book tag? I guess would you rather, because then maybe there are some opinions of mine that have changed. This one's 8 minutes long, so a little juicier. First one, would you rather only read trilogies or only read standalones? Oh my God, so easy. This was the issue people were having in 2014 because like series were, oh my God, fantasy series were taking over the scene, and I was not really reading them. There was the occasional one I got into, but it's standalones. It's standalones all day. I'm sure it was standalones then. It's standalones now. If you've been watching my channel for the past 2 months that I've been here, you probably already know the answer, and it is standalones. I would rather, for the rest of my life, only read standalones because I don't very often read trilogies or any type of series. So, would you rather only read female or male authors? Oh, you know what? Some of my favorite authors are male authors. My all-time favorite author is a male author, but I'm gonna choose women. I'm assuming I chose women. It's like the worst question on this whole thing. I would have to say female, even though that makes me feel terrible. My favorite author is a male author, but my 5 favorite authors after that are female. So I'm basically choosing my favorite author over my secondary favorite authors. Exactly, same. Back then it was Stephen King, right now it's Stephen Graham Jones. I guess I would choose to never pick up a Stephen King book again. Yeah, you'll be okay. I'm thinking if Colleen Hoover or Gillian Flynn came out with a new novel and I couldn't physically read it, what that would do to my soul. You'd be fine. Would you rather shop only at Barnes & Noble or only on Amazon? I don't shop at either because I'm not American. So if this is a comparison between Indigo and I guess I would have to say the thrift store, because I guess the point is shopping on Amazon is to get like cheaper books. I don't think we should be getting cheaper books. I think books are the price that they need to be in the stores because that's the price that they're supposed to be. If I had to choose between Indigo and my local indie, it's my local indie all day. If I had to choose between my local indie and a thrift store, it's my local indie. But if I didn't have the funds, then I would choose the cheaper one. I don't have a Barnes & Noble and I don't shop on Amazon. Is this trying to say like, would you rather shop in person or online? and mine would be in person. Would you rather all books become TV shows or all books become movies? Oh, easily movies, because I don't watch TV. I don't really watch that many movies. I'm trying to watch more this year. But it's just like TV is just way too much of an investment. I understand for other people, if you love something, you want to see it for many more hours and you want like seasons and seasons. I don't. I guess my preference would be a miniseries. I love like a 6 to 8 episode miniseries. But after that, I would choose movies, miniseries, traditional TV show. I would definitely choose movies. I don't watch a lot of TV. I can't last like 25 episodes a season and then wait for another season. It's just too long. And although I totally get it for other people, like if your favorite book is made into a TV show, you get more of the story and it's more drawn out and you get to enjoy more than just a 2 or 2.5 hour film or like series of films. Have I changed at all in 10 years? Would you rather read 5 pages a day or 5 books a week? Are you joking? I think that's easy for most booktubers to say 5 books a week. I don't even think booktubers, I think anybody in the world would, maybe not anybody, but like I can't imagine even somebody who rarely reads saying 5 pages a day. 5 pages a day, even if you don't read very much, you're reading more than 5 pages a day. Like that would be infuriating to have to put down a book after 5 pages, even if you only read like 100 pages typically in a month. There's no way you're making that 5 pages a day. Back then I wasn't reading 5 books a week, but I saw that it was a possibility. Now I'm reading more than 5 books a week. Even though that's a lot of books, it would be a struggle, but 5 pages a day, no. Would you rather be a professional author or a professional reviewer? You know what's so interesting? I think the quick and easy answer is professional reviewer, because you think of me like right now in this capacity sitting and talking to you about books all the time, but a professional reviewer is somebody who like probably has to read, like if I'm reviewing for a publication, I'm required to read certain books even if I don't want to, I imagine. And then I have to write up a review and be really thoughtful and smart. And it's still like an authorship type of situation because you're writing and somebody is going to be witnessing those words. And I think that would be a lot of pressure in that capacity. So if that's what we're talking about, I might choose author. I might choose some type of self-publishing route where I'm like writing something really stupid just to say I'm an author, because I think I would rather create art than consume art. If there was no creation with the consumption, like if I didn't have a channel, if that's not what we're talking about with reviewing, I would rather make something because I like making content. And if I couldn't make content, I would probably want to create in a different way. I think I would prefer a career writing as opposed to writing about someone else's writing, even though I absolutely do prefer to read and talk about books in this capacity. I don't consider myself a professional reviewer. I don't think any of you would either. I don't really have a whole lot of interest in writing. Same. But I'm not good at reviewing. If I knew I could be talented in both of them, I would choose an author over a reviewer. I hate writing book reviews, that's all I have to say. Would you rather only read your favorite 20 books over and over and over again, or only read new books? I would choose only reading new books. Because although I like to reread, I don't reread a ton of books. Oh my God, how have I not changed? Only read new books. I don't care about rereading. Sometimes I do it, but I don't really feel a desire to. I do like revisiting things as far as media, like visually. I like rewatching movies. I like rewatching shows. But with books, I'm fine never rereading anything. Oh, the ravens I go. I guess I would survive. I would just survive. And then would you rather be a librarian or a bookseller is the next one. Interesting. I mean, one would require a lot more education. So would I rather go through that journey right now or just be able to put in an application and work in my local bookstore? I guess I would choose that one, but I think being a librarian would be so much more interesting and fulfilling. So I believe I would choose librarian, and I think I'm gonna have a different answer finally 10 years ago. I would rather work in a bookstore than a library. Why? Being a librarian isn't that appealing to me. I'm sure it's a great job.
I think I'd rather just be a bookseller. Second last, would you rather only read your favorite genre or be able to read every genre except your favorite?
I don't even know my favorite genre. Back then, I probably would have said thriller and mysteries. So if you told me I could never read another thriller or mystery, I don't know if I would have survived. My favorite genre, I guess, is like, is it horror or is it like speculative, loose magic? I think it's horror. Never read horror again, as if. I'd rather just read horror forever and ever. And abandon everything else. No, wait, that's devastating. But never reading horror again sounds crazy. I don't have an answer. Why? Like, why would you make me pick? This is so disrespectful. Only read horror, I guess. And then I just have to, no. I'm reading everything but horror. Yeah, and I just have to find genres that are like horror adjacent, like fantasy that's just dark. Because I can't give up nonfiction. I can't give up the occasional sci-fi that I'm just enamored with. Never reading like a romance ever again, even though I know that I don't love it. Like never having the option. I get to keep like fantasy. I get to keep, yeah, okay, fine, I'm getting rid of horror. Fuck you in this tag.
This probably seems like a cop-out, but my favorite genre is realistic fiction. And I think that that can span across lots of different genres. You know, historical fiction is realistic, contemporary thrillers, horror, contemporary romance. That's all just kind of realistic.
What are you saying?
Futuristic dystopian is even realistic fiction to me because it's in the
what's your
future.
answer?
Like, it's not like fantasy or sci-fi. Like, that's not really realistic to me. But even some cases of sci-fi can be realistic because they're realistic things that could possibly
answer the question.
That we just don't know about yet. So I don't know, like fantasy and high fantasy, and obviously all of the genres that aren't fiction. I could easily stop reading all of that stuff and fantasy if I get my just nice little chunk of realistic fiction, which is most of what I read. So I definitely choose read my favorite genre. Last question, would you rather only...
If fiction is a genre? No, that was a cop-out. In fact, like, I'm angry. There are genres within that and you had to pick one and you're disrespecting the tag. That's crazy. My headphones died. Let's finish the tag.
Last question, would you rather only be able to read physical books or only read ebooks?
I'm choosing physical books, and the reason is because I haven't read an ebook in years. The only reason I was reading a lot of ebooks at this time is because they were easily accessible, and also I wasn't paying for all of them. Will I cop to that in this moment? Probably not.
There's nothing better than being able to read a physical book. I never in my life thought I would be the kind of person who enjoyed ebooks because it's a screen and like you want to feel and see how you're progressing and you want to just feel and smell and enjoy the novel.
Smell the novel?
Ebooks, I wouldn't read. I would have to knock my challenge list down from 100 books to like 50 books if I could only read physical books, because I read a good half of my books on my e-reader. Firstly, because I save so much money getting ebooks as opposed to physical books, and I read a lot faster on my e-reader than a physical book. But I can't imagine never being able to crack open a physical book again. But I kind of can't imagine not having my e-reader nowadays. You don't have to go into a store, order online, and wait for a book. It's just instantly in your hands. I guess I would have to choose physical books. But it's not an easy answer.
Now, if I had to choose between physical books and audiobooks, yeah, I would still choose physical books. But again, it would bring my reading amount down quite a bit, because I listen to audiobooks when I can't be physically reading. Oh, that's it. Okay. Okay, we're gonna leave it at that. I don't know if that was the juiciest thing ever. When I think about tag videos, I'm sure people are still doing them and they're still fun. I think back on them and wonder like what the purpose was for a lot of them. There obviously is this idea of getting to know the booktuber that you're watching, and I think that was the intent, is that if I answer all of these questions, you'll understand like my reading preferences and my reading habits, and we can talk about it. But most of the tags are just lists of things like name a red book, name a book that is a romance, and then like there's all these tags that are like the Gilmore Girls tag or the seasons tag, and it's like name a book that feels like fall and name a book that reminds you of Rory Gilmore. And it's just so interesting to think like what the purpose was. For me in the moment, it was just completing a list. Like, I just wanted to complete a list. Like, that just sounded like so much fun. And nowadays, I just don't see, for me and my channel, the benefit of making that for other people, especially because typically in tags, you're not taking a lot of time to answer the questions, like why this is your answer and why this is a recommendation. I never viewed those videos as recommendation things, but maybe that's what they could have been. And the biggest shift that I see in the book community is, maybe it's actually just me and other people were making content in order to recommend stuff, but that's not how I viewed BookTube 10 years ago. I wasn't going there to find recommendations. Meanwhile, nowadays, I feel as though you go, or the majority of readers are going to Book Talk and Bookstagram and BookTube specifically looking for people to tell them what to read and to find people who have the same taste. And that's where I struggle with TikTok, especially, and making content and consuming content, is so much of it just feels like somebody going, these are the 5 books you absolutely have to read today. These are the 5 tropes that you are obsessed with, and here's the book recommendations. And that's just like not the content that I care to consume. I like the slower, just like hanging out with somebody and seeing their reactions to books. I watch people who I would never read the books that they read, but I know what they like. I know their taste, and so I'm fascinated to see if the newest romantasy is going to check the boxes for them. Like, I want to see them actively reading the book. I want to follow their reading journey and changing their opinions about things and talking through that. I'm really rarely looking for recommendations, and I do feel like that's what BookTube was 10 years ago. It was just getting to know people. It was just watching people for entertainment, more than information, more than things to benefit you. It was like being invested in the person that you were watching and like watching their journey. I don't know if anybody feels the same, and maybe it is the people who watched BookTube back then and they're still looking for that now. And so you might relate to what I'm saying in that sense. But the people who are new to the bookish world, who are just like really getting into reading or rediscovering their love for reading, I feel like those people are looking for like the high energy pieces of content that's solely to benefit you as the viewer and what you might want to read. People are still doing tags. I suppose those have become like recommendation opportunities. Like, name a book that features this trope, name a book that features this, and then the person watching can get that information. Meanwhile, when I was making them, like if I watched the A to Z book list, which I'm about to, I think the way that I answered things are just for my own benefit rather than thinking about what the viewer would want my answer to be and what they're about to gain. I don't know if any of that made any sense, but yeah, I'm gonna go film a couple more. It's either gonna get more dull and boring, or I'm gonna have some more ridiculous answers to more specific questions where I actually get to point out a book. But I will see you over there if you're a bestie, and otherwise I will see everyone else in a couple days with another video. But also next month, I'm gonna recreate my first ever vlog. Just like I recreated my first tag, we're gonna do a vlog. So I will see you then. Bye.
Number 2, your fictional crush.
Kayla, don't say something fucking stupid.
The most recent book that I have read that my heart went to a new fictional boy was probably, just all the feels for him and his story.
Why would I say that? Why would I say that? Why would I say that?